Hey, welcome back. This is Pop Kannon, episode 20. I'm Jordan.
I'm Robert.
And I'm Paul.
What? Who the fuck?
Nah, come on, you know who I am. I've been here before.
Oh, yeah. He did the Rogue One episode like 3 years ago now, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that how long that was?
Yeah. This is my first time recording with Paul.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I'm
Wait,
very
you
excited.
you weren't there for that one?
No, you
Shit.
filled in for him because Jordan doesn't do the Star Wars.
I was ahead of the curve there.
Yeah, because now I don't do the Star Wars.
Anyway, so what are we here to talk about today, guys?
A festival in Sweden, right? Sweden?
Yeah,
I wanted to say Switzerland.
It's Sweden.
Sweden, where they celebrate good weather and shit goes horribly wrong.
Yeah, very quickly, actually.
But it's so good.
So fucking good.
So we're here to talk about Ari Aster's second film, MidSommar.
Could you imagine this being your second film?
Could you imagine Hereditary being your first?
Right.
Your first? Yeah.
Like, if they announced his third film was about the life cycle of a pair of wet socks, I'd be there.
Well, he did say that after this, he's kind of stepping away from horror for a little while because he considers himself a genre director. So he wants to do like all the genres. And he said that his next film, he wants to do a musical.
Oh my god.
No shit. Is that for real? Is that for real?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm like, there.
That's-
I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, well, I personally, I love musicals, but
That's amazing.
as
So what was everyone's like initial thoughts on the film?
It was super it was super weird, and like once the credits rolled I was just like I couldn't believe what I just saw. Just altogether, I could not believe what I just saw. It was insane on every level. And I see people still kind of critiquing the fact that they're like, oh, it wasn't that scary. And I'm like, it wasn't a horror movie in any stretch other than horrific things happen.
Yeah, it wasn't like a traditional
Not
jump
at
scare
all.
horror film.
No.
Yeah. For me, interestingly, before I saw it, I had seen Jordan say that it was a completely different film in comparison to Hereditary. But what was strange to me was that throughout the whole thing, I couldn't help but find similarities between the two. You guys feel that at all?
You noticed similarities between them?
Between the two movies, yeah.
Like in the way that they were shot, or more in the...
No, like, well, I suppose, like, story beats, maybe? So, I mean, it happened earlier in the film, but when you get that, like, very artistic scene of the fire brigade, finding her sister and her parents, like, dead.
Oh, that. That actually...
It was a great scene.
Yeah.
But I felt like that was kind of the... it was similar to the decapitation scene in Hereditary, in that it was like somebody's family member died, and that was kind of like the... I'm not really sure how to put it, but like that's
catalyst?
what kind of that's what kind of like took the story in the direction that it was going to start going in. You know what I mean? Like it was taking the audience and saying, "All right, this is prepare yourself because it's it's not going to be easy going forward."
It's gonna be super heavy.
Yeah, and
just as a cold open. That was unbelievably sad.
That's like my point was that like the decapitation scene in Hereditary and then that scene kind of takes you like by surprise a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So
like,
that was one similarity.
See, I felt the the cold open specifically was like where the similarities ended for me personally. I felt like that entire opening scene, because it was like dark, the way it was shot, it was like super artsy, but like really tragic.
I think it was supposed to also be symbolic of like how awful winter is to get through.
No.
Because it was like, and just the title card sequence was just driving snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You couldn't even really see the words on the screen. And then cut to, it's bright now. Like,
right. And then it's bright for pretty much the entire rest of the film.
Right, until it's
unless
like
you're indoors.
nighttime, but even still it's super, super bright for the rest of the movie.
That's a really good point, and the movie obviously is about summer.
It's about the middle of summer.
But no, I didn't think about that. The sort of like transitioning between seasons. That's really interesting.
And I also felt like what's her name? Florence Pugh, is that her name?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How fucking unbelievable a performance she put in this movie.
Yeah.
Like
for sure.
I felt her pain when she found out about her parents and her sister. Like, I've heard people cry that way when they lost someone close to them.
Oh, and again, like, it wasn't that very similar to the scene in Hereditary where the mom is like screaming. Yes. Yeah. That was like my first thought. But yeah. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, that's a great point, because I didn't even think about that watching it. I didn't go in looking for similarities, and I don't, off the top of my head, I couldn't think of any when you said that. But that's the crying scene for sure.
Yeah.
They don't mirror each other, but both of the characters were women who lost people close to them, obviously. Yep. So I think that's a really good point.
Yeah, and like you said, Paul, like where there were similarities, but I mean, I like Robert, I didn't notice because I wasn't looking.
Yeah.
I'm speaking strictly from like the lighting is drastically different, because friggin' Hereditary was a very dark movie, whereas this is very bright. The stories are totally different for me, other than, like you said, someone losing someone close to them. But I think Ari Aster is super creative, and honestly, like, he's got like a voice that deserves to be heard from a storytelling perspective. He's sold me on any project that he's doing in the future.
Is A24 his company?
No.
I don't think so. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Wow. They just like found a guy that they were like, oh, this could be interesting, and he's just knocked it out of the park twice. That's amazing.
Yeah. And like A24 is known for like their like quasi like indie films.
There was a trailer before the movie of it was like a Chinese family, and they don't want to tell the grandmother that she's got cancer or something like that.
Yeah,
that trailer, I looked at Amanda while that was going on, and I was like, this looks incredible.
Dude, I didn't even see that.
It looks incredible. And it's A24, but it obviously doesn't have anything to do with this. That trailer I was like, holy shit. It looks so good.
Yeah, A24 puts out some bangers. But specifically this film, it like blew me away. And like you said, with Florence Pugh, her performance as Danny was astounding and like mesmerizing.
That's what I was going to add as well, that all of her panic scenes
Oh my god.
were so well done. It was ridiculous. Like they really captured like what panicking feels like. It was like palpable.
Mm-hmm.
It was ridiculous.
It felt like claustrophobic with her.
Yeah.
I think it was because they shut off, they mute all the sound other than just like and it focuses solely on her running through a field of just endless green.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then just it's solely focused on what she's doing in that moment, and then her ability to showcase, I'm having a massive panic attack right now.
Yep.
Because that's all you were looking at, and like it's all you could hear. It was all you felt. And Ari Aster has a way of making you feel exactly what the characters on screen feel.
Definitely. Two of those scenes really stuck out to me. The one where the elders jump off the cliff.
Oh my god!
But then the other one, and I wanna hear what you guys thought about the scene. Was when she's out in the field, like initially after taking the
mushroom.
Yeah, when they first got there.
The mushroom tea.
And I love the way that they did it. It's kind of started out as a bit of a long shot, right? Where she's kind of like breathing heavily, and then she's kind of walking away, and then there's a bunch of girls sitting, and they laugh at her, and they think, or at least she thinks that they are, and then she kind of runs into one of those other guys, and he's like, no, they weren't laughing at you, I'm sure of it, and it's like, but then she goes into that shed,
Mm-hmm.
right, and briefly it looks like that there's someone or something behind her, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a good look at what it was. Did you guys see it?
I just assumed it was someone in the bathroom,
Yeah, I definitely thought it was like an outhouse shed.
but
Oh, okay.
it could have been her dad.
Yeah,
Because
because they did that
right.
thing where they kept flashing her family. It
That's
might have even been
true.
her sister.
yeah,
Because her sister's
yeah.
face pops up a few times.
yeah, and
Okay.
when after she becomes May Queen, you see her mom walk by
Yep.
her.
Yep.
So-
in the crowd of people. Yeah.
So it's entirely possible that that's what she saw, because that'll trigger her even more to freak out. But yeah, like you said,
Right.
it was very quick, so I didn't get a good look.
But so just in the they kept so the drink that they kept drinking, that was constantly fueled by mushrooms, right?
I don't know if it was that exactly. It could have been a number of things. But
There's a
I'm
point.
sure
There's
that's
a
just
point towards the end of the
assumed.
movie, and I don't think it's specifically the May Queen flower helmet that they make her wear. But there's another crown of flowers that she wears, and it's during that long. I guess it is when she finally becomes the May Queen.
Yeah.
And there's that long table.
Yeah.
Everything was moving.
Yeah.
Literally everything was moving. There was
Well,
a flower on her head that kept opening and closing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
but,
that was
but-
also in that opening scene when they first drank that. Everything
Yep.
was moving in that
Yeah.
long shot that she was there for.
Yeah.
Dude, it was so crazy.
and
Because if you don't it's possible that you were looking at the screen and didn't notice everything moving.
Exactly. It was very subtle. I feel like they did a really good job of representing what one of those trips would look like. Because most of the time, if you took a normal dosage of shrooms, that's all you would be seeing, really. But
It's just shit
also,
moving and opening and closing.
well, I just mean very subtle, small movements in maybe designs and stuff like that. But they also did a really good job of slowly giving you that effect. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there was little bits of it at first, And then as
when
the
she's
further you
full-blown May
got,
Queen, everything on the table is like vibrating.
exactly. And that was really well done, because for one, I feel like that's kind of realistic, and two, it's not jarring to somebody who's watching it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just like out of nowhere.
Yeah. And I feel like that could also be interpreted like how much she's actually losing her sanity.
Mm-hmm.
It's slow. It's a slow build.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like her grip on reality is just.
By the end
shaken.
of it, she's just wearing a scowl on her face.
Yeah. Well, she hit like every emotion. In that last scene.
Yeah.
She was like crying. She was screaming. And then she was stone-faced, and then she smiles. So, like, you know, we saw at the beginning.
All of it.
Yeah, you saw at the beginning her taking those pills. So to me, it's like
she also wasn't on her medication. Probably.
Yeah.
Oh
Interesting.
yeah.
Like her
I
sister
didn't
was
really think about
bipolar,
that.
and it's
Yeah.
hereditary. You see what I did there? So, yeah, I mean, it goes to say, like, she wanted a family. She wanted to feel like she belonged. And I think she finally got that in the end of this film.
So, do they... so just the internal logic of this festival thing. I think I misheard him say 90 years.
No, it's 90. Every 90 years.
Yeah, it's 90.
So how... Because their friend that brings them to Sweden to go to this, Pell, is that his name?
Yeah,
Pell.
Pell.
He says that his parents died in a fire, and that immediately at the end of the movie made me go, "Oh shit! His parents died in that big house thing." But that doesn't make sense, because how could his parents have been alive 90 years ago? Did they mean 9?
No, 90.
Because everything was 9. There were 9 sacrifices, and 9 this, and 9 that, and 9 this, and 9 that.
Oh, that's true. I'm almost certain I heard 90.
No, it's 90 because it's like based on a real tradition.
Right,
They
but like, so I'm
celebrate
just
every
trying to
90
understand.
years.
The
could
age
be
intervals
that-
don't make any sense either.
Right.
So I feel like they have a festival every so often, but they don't have like that festival.
Yeah, that's what I
Probably.
was just gonna say. Like, maybe it was some other thing that had to do with like burning a fucking shrine down.
Yeah.
You know, as that were, you know.
But also it could have just been, you know, a small foreshadowing. You know what I mean?
No,
and maybe
true.
it just had nothing to do with it other than that.
Because the fact that he said that his parents both died in a fire, and then at the end of the movie you have 2 people from the group volunteer to go in. I was like, wait a minute. Or like maybe one was a volunteer, one was chosen, or whatever. You know what I mean? However that broke down, I was like, dude, his parents totally died in this, and that's why he's bringing more people to it. That's what it seemed like to me.
No,
I don't know.
That's a good pull, because I didn't even like pick up on that, like put those together.
I just the year thing, it, like, completely, because Amanda and I argued in the car about it. I was like, he said 90, and she was like 9.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard 90.
No, it's 90.
But I didn't look it up afterwards.
So they do the full blown MidSommar every 90 years, but I would imagine every 9 or so they have like a thing.
Yeah,
Because
Well, I mean-
how do you determine, like, you have babies and then 0 to 18 and then 18 to 36 and then 36 to 72, and at 72 you kill yourself. You don't even get to the next festival.
no.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think
Well-
specifically the festival is like to crown the May Queen.
And then they just go on living with that new May Queen, which was that lady that was kind of like the MC of the ceremonies.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I was so confused by that, and it was kind of distracting me after the movie when I was thinking about it. And I was like, how can they do that every 90 years? Nothing adds up at that point. But dude, they were totally eating people in those meat pies, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
100%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that dude Simon,
Yeah.
totally totally in that meat pie.
Yeah, that's exactly. Like, they had other spooky things going on.
Yeah.
You know, like they had there was the this disfigured fellow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
There was that
product of
whole
inbreeding.
thing. Yeah. So I'm sure fire plays a role in other areas of their lives.
Yeah.
Especially when they're like trying to keep all that shit a secret and
Yeah. I love that they make him like the guy that writes their scripture.
He's the oracle.
He's their oracle.
yeah.
They only ever have an inbred oracle to tell them what to do. And I want to see the ceremony where they choose who decides to inbreed. And then you had, what was the girl's name? Maya?
Yeah.
Who like chose Danny's boyfriend Christian as the guy that's going to deflower her and make babies with her.
Yeah.
And they showed you flat out what was going to happen on one of those pieces of tapestry or whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, the artwork throughout just foreshadowed everything.
It did.
Yeah.
It laid everything out.
So she specifically like put her pubes in his meat pie, and he also got a drink that was severely discolored and definitely had her menstrual blood in it.
Yep.
Right.
Definitely. So they were everything that was on those tapestries was a thing that was going to happen.
And I mean, like scenes like that, people in my theater were like laughing at certain points.
Yeah, because it was awkward. It was painfully awkward.
It was awkward, but like in the context of the film, you're just like grossed out, and you're like,
yeah, and terrified.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny because certain people will laugh when they're uncomfortable. So I
Yes.
feel like that was that kind of reaction.
And that was me through a lot of it. I was like, oh god, okay.
Interestingly, there was only like 6 or 7 total people in our theater.
My theater was packed. I saw it on like
I had some people. I had a decent group, and there were a lot of older people, which I was kind of surprised at. And then their reactions kind of like led the way in terms of like, oh.
Shit.
Specifically the self-sacrifice scene, which we should probably talk about, right?
yeah.
Yeah. That does seem like the right direction to go.
So these two old looking crazy people come walking from the end of the wherever that weird house is that they eventually burn down.
Mm-hmm.
And they go to sit at the table that's shaped like a rune at the head of it, and you have to wait for them to decide to sit before you're allowed to sit and eat, which is a thing that happened like several times, which was really fucking weird to me.
Yeah. And what was also really cool was how like all the people, from America or whatever, they were sitting positioned to where they could not see that happening.
Right.
Which was really interesting, and they were the whole time they were like, "What's going on? Like, what are we waiting for?" I thought that was like set really, really well, a good way to keep the
especially Will
main
Poulter
characters
just being like, "What the fuck, dude?"
Yeah.
To everything.
Right.
So they sit down, they do they drink their stuff, which I'm assuming numbs them.
Yeah. I think it's more that mushroom
the
stuff.
mushroom stuff. Yeah.
Right.
So then they go to the massive cliff thing, and everybody's standing at the bottom of the cliff, and I'm like, oh no, because if you remember from one of the trailers, somebody's flying through the air off of that cliff, briefly, very, very briefly.
Yeah.
So you see it, but it's like it's there and gone.
But you don't know the context.
No, I know, but like once you get to that scene, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, you like know
because jokingly, the Swedish guy that brought them there, whose name I'll never remember,
Pell,
sure. They're like, so what happens at 72? And he like sarcastically makes the slit across his throat, like,
yeah,
yeah.
And then we get there, and I'm like, oh no, because they're old. They do the slit the wrist hand thing, and they put their blood on the runes.
Yeah, well, the slit the hand thing was also on those markers, like in those drawings.
Yes. And then first the old lady dives off, and holy fucking shit.
That impact. That impact shot.
The greatest thing about the impact shot was that it was so understated. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like...
Yeah. It didn't even last that long.
No.
But, like, you saw... I just love how you saw, like, the body, like, come back up.
Right.
From the impact.
But it was so... I mean, it was so understated in that it wasn't like some crazy action movie where they explode on impact.
Yeah.
It was, like, very realistic in that the body just took it and broke.
Oh, for sure. For sure. But then the real highlight comes after that. The real highlight, when it turns into a Cannibal Corpse album. Literally turns into a Cannibal Corpse album.
Yeah, so they show her face, and what used to be her face, because it's no longer a thing. It's just gone. And then the old dude does his turn. And he doesn't lay flat.
No, he pencil dives.
He pencils into the rock on the ground.
Oh my god!
And his fucking legs, dude. Jesus Christ!
Yeah, and then like the moaning.
Oh my god,
dude, that caught me off guard. I was so like,
because
oh shit! I was physically
they really tried. They tried to make it seem like those two were in that shrine for an extended period of time,
right?
Before that, so they were just like they probably like forgot how to speak or some shit. I don't know, like this. Oh, that was so ridiculous. And then they just brings. Oh no, it was several people.
Yeah, it was just like four. I think it was 4 people.
Well, everyone's freaking out.
But I think like all the people that are in the clan or the tribe or whatever the fuck you want to call it,
the cult. Let's just call them
they're all aware of the situation, and I think the point of it for them to be reacting to it was the same way they reacted when the May Queen was crying, or they all share the grief until it's over.
Yeah.
So he's moaning and shit, and guy holding Mjolnir comes over because that's definitely what that fucking hammer was. Definitely what that hammer was.
You mean in like the mythology?
Yeah, like within the mythology because of the runes and the Nordic stuff and everything like that. That's their Mjolnir, and they smash his fucking head in.
Several times.
Like more than one. Yeah, more than once.
I assumed that
every
was his
hit
family.
was more solid than the last.
I assumed that was his family.
That makes sense.
Because,
it could be.
Like it was like almost like that's part of the ceremony.
Like the dude hit it, and then he handed it to the woman, and then the woman did it, and I think there was a second woman that hit it, and then another guy.
Yeah.
Right.
And they did not shy away from showing you the hammer caving in his face.
Nope.
And the British couple were flipping the fuck out.
Yeah.
Which was fucking amazing.
And Danny was just kind of like frozen.
Yeah. And her boyfriend was like near vomit.
Yeah.
But then he was like totally affable afterward. He was like, "Yeah, whatever, you know. It's their traditions and shit, you know."
Custom.
Well, I mean, they got the speech from that lady afterwards that was like, "No, you know, everything's fine."
They rather than die on nature's terms,
right?
They decide to die.
Christian's like, seems legit.
Yeah, he totally bought in, and then he stole his friend's doctorate thesis, which was cool of him. He was a real piece of shit, huh?
Yeah. And then friggin' Will Poulter's character, Mark, was like, wait, I slept through that?
Dude, his fucking character was so great in that he's probably the more true American experience doing all of that stuff.
Yes.
Just pissing on the dead tree and You know what I mean? Just like up for whatever. Like that lady just comes over. She's like, "Come with me." And he's like, "Oh, okay."
He's like, "I'm gonna bang her."
Yeah, that's definitely what he thought he was going to do.
Yeah, he thought he was getting signals from her.
Right. And definitely not what happened for him, unfortunately.
No.
Because then we got a really nice Texas Chainsaw Massacre moment where the inbred Oracle is wearing his face.
Right. And that was another Cannibal Corpse scene. Cause what did he hit the other guy with?
It was just a big blunt object. I don't know if it was like a log or a hammer or something. I don't know. But he just out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, it was
That
so
was
uncomfortable.
really upsetting. Yeah, that was really upsetting.
I don't think that was the Oracle guy. I thought that was the guy that was like pissed about the pissing on the tree.
It could be. I mean,
I don't think that was the Oracle.
We don't ever find out
because the Oracle was there. He just wasn't.
I definitely thought it was the Oracle because they were clear to show, like you saw his face beneath that face, and I feel like he's the only one that they would allow to carry out something like that because he was touching the Oracle's book.
Yeah, that was what I assumed at first as well. But I think it was mainly because of just the noise.
Yes,
the
and
noise
the
that he was
uncomfortable
making.
sounds out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Could be.
So they said he couldn't speak, right? Like
I don't think he was able to speak.
No.
Right.
He's the Oracle. He just draws.
Yeah,
Right.
He just draws crazy photos and then they interpret them for their holy scripture.
How about when Christian's like running away after he?
Well, I guess the insemination scene also is important.
Let's well, okay, let's back up. Let's back up a little bit. So Danny is crowned May Queen in that really intense quick cuts scene where they're going around the maypole.
Yeah.
Which was really interesting. Kind of figured that that's where it was heading.
Yeah.
But
there was no way she wasn't going to win that.
But the whole time, like, her and Christian, like, were so pulled apart.
Yes.
By this point in the film, where he was uncomfortable, she was uncomfortable, and they were both uncomfortable in totally different scenarios. Like, he's sitting at that table, and that old guy, like, claps at him, and it fucks with his senses.
Yes.
So then they take him and they make him bang that girl. And they're all like in the room moaning with her and stuff. It was weird. But like you said, they like feel they're like experiencing it together and they're feeling and they're matching the moods.
I think I let out my biggest, most uncomfortable laugh when that woman touched his face and started singing.
What about when she walked around and touched his ass and was helping him thrust?
Oh yeah, that older lady. Now, could we assume that that's also her family, or at least the women of her family, make sense. Or at least the lady that like knelt down? Like, I feel like it was safe to assume that was like her mom.
That's what I thought.
Definitely. But so he's having sex with her, and then the mother just kneels down and touches his face and just starts singing.
Yeah. It's like the twisted Disney.
Yeah.
I fucking laughed so hard and so loud. And then for the rest of that sequence was just like like the entire time.
The whole time I'm just going, I don't think I would have been able to finish at that point.
But what's great about it is that it connects to the first scene where he's talking to his friends about Danny, and they're like, you can just find somebody who likes sex.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that was like his whole thing. He just wanted to leave her so that he could like be with someone else.
So
bang
like
someone
that's
else.
part of the
to
whole
sow his
movie.
royal oats.
The whole movie,
Right.
Ari Aster is like described it as like a breakup movie
Yeah.
because like we're seeing everything mostly through Danny's perspective, but then we also get Christian's perspective, and it's just two people that should not be together, and they
And
don't
they're
really
still
have,
together out of obligation.
Yeah, they don't have like a
Right.
reason to not be together until Danny has an excuse
And-
to make that decision for them.
Yeah, but her side of the story is that she just wants, in Pell's words, to be held, and like Christian doesn't want to give that to her, even though that's what she wants from him. But then by the end of the movie, you know, she's getting that from the call.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the love and affection that she's desiring.
Yeah, so that's like kind of both of their like story arcs kind of happening in tandem, which I thought was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I thought that was so good.
Things didn't end too well for Christian, as after he came inside that girl, he like ran away and he's running.
And she did an immediate pelvic bowl and said she felt the baby.
Oh yeah, no, that was ridiculous.
and
I
he,
was like, come on. And everybody around was like, yes.
and he's like, okay.
Yeah, that's when he's suddenly like, oh shit, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
And then he goes full frontal. He hangs dong
Yeah, I gotta respect him for
Yep.
that.
as his little pink cock and balls flap around, and he's trying to desperately find a way out of there
Right. But
until he
But
eventually
then-
discovers Simon.
yes. Now, that was another thing I wanted to talk about, because when I was talking about the scene where Danny runs into that shed, I thought that it was the same shed.
No, that was
No.
it was way further up, or way further
Like,
earlier into their like compound area.
Yeah.
They had way more to go.
Yeah.
All right.
but first
Um,
he like looks down and sees like the
A
garden, and that's
Yeah.
Josh's foot.
Yeah, he sees
Yeah.
his
Oh,
buddy's
right.
leg, who I'm assuming they're he was part of their
Composting.
ritual for a good harvest.
Yeah, probably. And then goes inside, and we see Simon, who's
Flayed.
still breathing.
Yeah, that was wild. That was
Oh
wild.
god, that was so uncomfortable.
Apparently,
Yeah, no-
that is like an ancient, like, torture ritual by like
Yeah,
Vikings
that-
and shit.
Yeah, it's called the Blood Eagle. They have it. They feature this blood eagling in the show Vikings.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I was aware of.
I
of
can't.
it.
Oh my god!
But I saw
And
that
he had
and
like
I
the
was-
flowers in his eyes.
Oh my god. They decorated him,
Yeah.
and then at that point
And,
you're just
Christian
like,
was, like,
dude, what the fuck's gonna
tripping.
happen? What the fuck's gonna happen?
Like the dude's tripping while looking at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is even
you
harder.
imagine?
You know,
He like
it'd be hard enough to see a guy that you knew in that position, but to be tripping and be like, I don't know, he just came. Like like he's high, but it's also the most clarity that his brain's gonna have.
and then he
And then
he turns
he's got
upside
that.
down too to look at him.
Oh,
Right,
And then when he
right.
comes
Well,
back up-
yeah, when you're dissociated as
Yeah.
much as he is in that moment, I'm sure like you're just like so bewildered that you're like, oh, I need to look at this at a at a different angle
Yeah.
to make sure I'm seeing what I'm seeing. You know what I mean?
dude, that was so fucking crazy.
And then they
But,
hit him with that stuff, and he like can't move and can't speak.
Oh yeah. Oh god, that was.
Yeah, they paralyzed
I
him.
was like, oh, this poor motherfucker. But then, like, at the same time, I really didn't feel bad for him because he's a terrible person. But
Like, I thought he was just your run-of-the-mill college-age asshole, you know? Like, I don't think he was a bad person. I just...
no, but I mean,
He's weak. He's weak. For me, that's all That's all I got from him. He's just a very weak person.
But the tension that they've built up between Danny and Christian throughout that whole movie, it was so uncomfortable.
When she said to him, "I could see you doing that to me," I felt like it was so out of left field.
It was, but it wasn't to her.
To her, no,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think
she's just
think
apparently
about it,
she's just been living. She's been living in their shit relationship that entire trip, rather than like being on the trip.
Yeah. Where he was like already out of that relationship, and he's
he was just there.
Yeah,
he was just there.
Yeah.
But like for her to have lost her family, and then she's in this shit relationship that she feels trapped and can't escape from.
Yeah, and they highlight that in that scene. Another great scene that like kind of took me off guard was when she has that dream sequence where they all leave her.
Dude,
how good was that? And then I was convinced that it was real.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because that's it. They really get the audience into the mindset of like these people don't care about her. You know what I mean?
That's why it was so confusing to me too when that happens, because isn't that like right after Christian and Josh argue about their thesis thing?
Yeah.
So then, like, the fact that they'd all leave together, I was like, what?
Well, true.
But you feel the betrayal that she feels, because you're like, how could they argue like that and then leave her together?
And that was one of the few scenes that was actually at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Outdoors.
Well, because they even said, like, it doesn't really get dark there. So that's why it was jarring
maybe
to
2
see.
hours of darkness.
Yeah, that's why it was like so jarring to see.
Yep. Yeah.
That's also probably why it was also a dream sequence.
Yeah.
Because it was dark.
And then when she like opened her mouth and the smoke came out, like the carbon monoxide, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm sure if we go back and we like watch that movie closer, we'll see way more of her family throughout that movie.
Probably.
Definitely, dude.
Yeah, just hiding
in plain sight.
Yeah.
Like like what was in Hereditary, the smiling guy at the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, there's another similarity.
And then he's the same dude that's the naked guy in the house that like nobody noticed, but he's just in the background.
Yep.
Wait, what?
I don't. It's towards the end of the movie when I think
when he finds his dad all charred up.
Yeah.
From the fire, there's a naked guy standing in the doorway.
Holy shit!
just like watching him.
Yeah, and it's the same guy that was smiling at the funeral.
Oh
at
man!
The funeral, yeah.
And then he's in the clubhouse at the end.
Yeah,
dude. Like,
yeah, it's fucked
I can't
up.
get over how good this movie was. It's just like
I've seen some people say that they were bored.
It's a slow burn.
No, I was never bored. I was never bored.
Yeah, because there's just the entire time is like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
But like, I don't know how it doesn't hook you with, oh my god, what is happening?
Yeah.
You know, like I just feel like
because they just want to see people getting stabbed and murdered.
Yeah, like, but if you're not in on that cold open, that was so emotionally devastating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not in on that, like, you probably should have just left the fucking theater
at that point. I was even really a big fan of the dialogue through most of it. Like, I thought the script was really good, and that goes also to the actors because everything was believable. There was a scene at the very beginning with Danny and Christian before they even left, they're just talking and they're like
their
arguing.
Argument?
And that was so that hit me because like I've dealt with breakups and relationships where the victim blaming and
dude, that fucking argument.
But like the dialogue was so good in that scene.
Yeah,
it was.
I'm
real.
not mad. I'm not mad. I just thought we should talk about it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're mad. I'm not mad.
And then she's like, "Well, I'm sorry."
Oh.
Well then I'm sorry. I shouldn't have accused, like that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, the cyclical argument. Oh my god. And he's just like, "I'm just going to go." And he's like pointing his body at the door.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, no, you don't have to leave. And he's like, because in his, like, I feel him so hard in that moment, because he's just like, I would rather leave than to have this conversation for the next 3 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I know if I sit on this couch with you, we're only going to be allowed to talk about this for the next 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I would rather get in my car and wrap it around a tree. Or...
But again, like, she did such a good job of acting out the fact that she was so desperate to just like to sort the problem out, because like at that point, that's all he was the only person that she had.
Yeah,
really.
And she just wanted things to be okay and to go back to normal. She wanted
that fucking Swedish friend of theirs hooking into her early on.
Dude.
Right.
I was like, that motherfucker.
The whole time he's like,
I totally thought he was bringing her there so he could be the one to inseminate her.
Same.
Totally. I'm glad we got that vibe right off the top too.
But honestly, I think I almost feel like he chose her as the next May Queen.
Pretty much.
Like from the
beginning. That's why
I'm
the
saying,
young,
like,
yeah.
There's a theory going around that he was also sort of responsible for her family's death. Because if you
really,
and I didn't notice this upon my viewing, but people have pointed it out, where when it's doing the sweeping shots of her parents' house in the beginning, you see several flower crowns throughout the house.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
And I'm like, oh shit. So like that was the catalyst, but also it set everything in motion to get her there. He kept prying at their relationship, knowing that she would make that choice at the end.
Well, I was just gonna say, so the young people that go away and come back for the festival, they seemed to all have brought friends.
Yeah.
From wherever they went, and it's all for the express purpose of
murdering them.
Well, murdering some of them, but they need fresh blood in their clan.
Oh, right. Well, yeah.
So I definitely thought. So he brought 3 guys and a chick.
Yeah.
And
his brother,
his brother brought a guy and a girl, and then I would assume that there were more, but were focused. It was hyper focused on just their experience.
Yeah.
So like I think they all bring 1 or 2 people, or maybe 3 or 4 or whatever, to this festival to enter them into all of this stuff. And because he was honored at the end by having brought the new May Queen to the place. So he was one of the guests. He was like one of the honorees there after that, once they chose his guest. So I think he brought all of those guys there in hopes that one of the girls that needed to be deflowered and inseminated for the new blood into the group, one of those guys would be chosen. Yeah. It didn't have to be Christian. It just wound up being Christian.
Definitely.
He could have just as easily have been Simon or Josh.
True.
It just it was all about their own individual motivation.
Yeah.
Like Simon goes down first because his extreme negative reaction to what happened at the sacrifice.
And they try to keep Connie around, but she winds up going too.
And like that's why they brought her there. There's a chance that if she survived up until the May Queen sequence, she would have been in that group.
Yeah.
And she would have also had an opportunity to potentially win to become the May Queen. So
it
still was up in the air.
Yeah, and if that were the case, she would not have been sacrificed.
Exactly.
Just like Dany survived, because if she hadn't gotten May Queen, there would have been a chance that she was
exactly
sacrificed. Yeah, right.
True.
Exactly. So I think it was all. I don't think it was as determined as it. I guess it wound up seeming because all of the characters that we were aware of had things happen to them.
Right.
I think there was definitely more people, and we just weren't aware of their situations specifically, but they probably all wound up fucking dead.
Yeah.
Or they just survived the fucking thing and they go home, not being none the wiser to what happened.
Yeah, I think so. Also, I think they're incentivized to bring as many people as possible, so that decreases the chance that they themselves get
that honor. Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's a good point.
It was it was so weird to like, because like thinking about it on that level, it's like that guy really knew what he was bringing those people he called his friends into.
Yeah,
and he was so genuinely sweet about bringing them to it.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, in retrospect, it's almost sickening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even when he said to Danny, he's like, "I'm most excited for you to come."
Right. Exactly.
yeah,
And that's him trying to gas her up so she'll be ready to go for the May Queen thing, or she'll at least be up for it. You know?
Yeah.
They have to convince her to help them cook in the kitchen. But, like, once we get to the May Queen thing, she's just like, okay.
Yeah. What a fascinating movie.
Totally.
Like,
totally fascinating.
It has its own like internal logic, and it doesn't stray from that.
And I watched, there was like when the trailers came out, this guy did like a 20-minute breakdown of all of the runes that you see and like trying to explain what was going to happen. Like not what was going to happen, but like what the meaning of some of the stuff was.
Yeah.
And I kind of enjoy that. While some of that probably came into play, like symbolically, it wasn't like anchored on, oh, this rune was here, so that means this.
yeah.
Right.
I would love...
'Cause that's basically what his video was like, okay, so this rune is here, so that means this, this, and this, so we're looking at, that kind of thing.
I would love to see, like, the set designs and, like, the artwork that they created for the film in pre-production. Like, why those decisions were made to put certain markers in certain places.
Right.
So, like...
I would assume that they just had, a couple Swedish scholar people on set that were well versed in those kind of runes, and were just like, what would make like the most sense for what we're going for?
Yeah.
But also, it was pretty similar. Again, I'm going to say this again, to Hereditary, in that at every not every, but most of the important scenes of that film, there's a symbol for what's the demon's name? Paimon?
Yeah.
Like you see one on that electrical pole that the girl gets decapitated on. You see it in the attic and a bunch of other places. So it's like it's almost like a visual marker for what,
like shit's about to go down.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved it. I thought that this movie was like I said, I can't compare it to Hereditary because I think they're two totally different films. I mean, I agree there are similarities the more you keep pointing them out, but Hereditary was more of a horror film than this. They're still not.
Sure.
They're still like not really horror films though. They're like dramatic interpretations of like loss and grief.
Yeah.
Well, because Paul had said last year after he had watched Hereditary to me, he's like, it's not so much a horror film in it, just that it builds dread for like an hour and a half, and then the last 20 minutes is just overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose technically, like the last 15 or so minutes is actual horror,
right?
You know what I mean? Because you have her Spider-Manning on the wall, and you know what I mean. Like all the demonic shit actually happens then.
There's just nothing. I still can't get over in Hereditary her piano wiring her head off.
Oh my god.
That stands out to me as like one of the most disturbing things that I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
Where in MidSommar, I don't know that there was like I guess the most disturbing thing was the hammer smash face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that and the blood eagling.
yes, definitely.
That was really it as far as things that made you like squirm,
right.
you know.
But like on a conceptual level, there's more stuff in MidSommar that makes you squirm when you talk about it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true.
It's more of a psychological thing.
Yeah. There's definitely some like really uncomfortable, even just like you had said, Jordan, from the couple arguments to the actual physical uncomfortable nature of like they flayed that guy and he was still alive.
It's a beautiful movie.
And it's gorgeous, which makes it so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved just looking at it. I thought all of the edits, like the cuts, were perfect.
Yes.
Robert, I know you said you saw like one instance, but like I didn't.
There was one specific cut that just felt awkward. And I don't think it was intentional. I think they might have just missed it because it wasn't even like, it wasn't a big scene. It was just kind of like transitionally one scene ended and then it kind of like jumped a little bit and then somebody was running in the next in the next shot.
Okay.
So it was just this really awkward movement that there was obviously a cut that they made. It was really weird. But like I didn't even remember that until you said the editing was great and I was like there was one thing now that you mention it that I remember.
But I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah, me neither.
I think it might have even been during that dream sequence where it was dark, so you could write it off as just like, oh, it was intentional.
Yeah.
Oh,
to make it jarring.
Yeah.
But I just felt like it wasn't. It was jarring for the wrong reason.
Gotcha. I want to make one more comparison to Hereditary, so we can get it the fuck out of the way. And then we can talk more about the camera work because I have a couple things to say about that as well. But one of the most obvious similarities to me were the endings, because if you think about it, both of them end with sort of this like, well, a shrine, but also this like tableau, right?
Yeah.
Where you kind of have everyone kind of frozen in this formation. And then it's like, in Hereditary, it's the demons' plans coming to a head and being successful. But then in MidSommar, it's the cult's plans being successful. And then you in both movies you have like this. In Hereditary, it was the one mannequin. Sorry, mannequin is the word I was looking for. But you have that, but you also kind of had mannequins in MidSommar as well, with bits of the people, and then they kind of like stuff their mouths with like sticks and shit. So again, like it was kind of like this. Oh, here's a pretty tableau for you of this like terrible thing. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It kind of was like this complete picture for the end of the movie that was just like this is what everything was leading up to. Here it is, and that's it. You know?
No, absolutely.
So so yeah.
Both movies end with them smiling.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's like kind of like this weird triumphant evil thing that like none of the audience wants, but it's happening, you know. But yeah, so that was kind of every similarity that I saw.
One of my favorite camera shots was the upside down movement when they go into Sweden.
That's so funny that you say that because I was going to bring that up about camera work. So the shot is it's you watch the car coming and it's right side up and then it slowly turns upside down, right?
Yeah.
Now I think there have been movies or maybe a movie or maybe it was even Hereditary or something where something similar to that happened. where people were going from one point to another, and they were going to the bad place, whatever that is, and the camera kind of did like a similar movement.
I've seen that before.
I think Evil Dead did that. The remake.
Okay.
Evil Dead, like they're in the car and then they do that. It like starts off and the car, everything is upside down, and then it turns right side up.
Okay.
It's just disorienting.
It's super disorienting, and it's like obviously the symbolism is like shit's about to go upside down.
Yeah, for sure. But if you noticed that after it turns upside down and you start to see the Mayfair, or I think that's what it says on the there's like a flag or
there's a sign that like
a banner
tells you where to turn. Yeah.
Right. Well, I think there's like a banner like above the road.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that
yes.
that's what you're saying? Okay. Once the camera gets to that point, it actually flips back right side up again.
Mm-hmm.
And to me that was almost like them saying, okay, yeah, this is like a horror movie and we're going to this awful place, but also it's really nice and it's
right.
and it's not bad, you know, it's not scary.
Yeah. We've turned you upside down to show you that it's gonna be shit's about to go down, but also
it's not what you expect.
It's not what you expect.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I thought that was fucking great. Like it's really just stuck out to me.
Yeah, that definitely one of the things I was thinking about when I left was the upside down thing, because I remember that being. I'm almost 100% that it was the Evil Dead remake that did the upside down thing where they're on the road in the car.
Yeah, it probably was, but I've seen it in a couple things.
Oh yeah. A lot of people have done it, but like to utilize the trope of turning the camera upside down to show you that you're not where you think you are, and then to subvert the trope by
flipping
doing another rotation to correct it in the same shot.
Right. Yep.
And I love the top-down shot when they're first walking through the woods. Just some of the camera work, like it was all done in one shot too.
Yeah,
where it would slowly follow them or slowly pull in or push out on certain characters.
My favorite thing is like when during the cold open when they did when they were showing what happened to her family. You kind of saw like her sister's whole room.
Yeah.
And it was just that fucking, it gets me every time in every movie that I see it, but that like you're fixated on a thing and then there's just this very, very, very slow creeping in motion.
Yeah.
With the camera onto the subject. Every time it gets me. When somebody does that, especially in that moment when you see what her sister did to herself to kill herself. Right. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
She didn't just put the tube under her door.
Yeah.
Like she did for her parents. She fucking ate the thing and then taped it to her mouth so as she can't stop herself.
Right.
That's fucking insane. Insane.
It's just uncomfortable too.
Yeah, just to think like she was that far gone, you know.
Exactly.
And like like you said,
the slow zoom, it keeps creeping in, and you think it's focused on her sister, and it keeps going and going and going and going and going, and you see she has 4 missed emails. Yeah. I'm like, oh god damn it, which validates Danny's character for being so
worried,
paranoid about what was happening, and everybody poo-pooing it because it's like, oh, your sister's fucking bipolar, you know this already. Like they're all so wrong. It's not the validation anybody wants. Oh yeah, you're right about that thing when your sister killed herself and your parents. Like nobody wants that validation.
No.
If anything, she's like pretty well adjusted.
Yeah.
After that.
It's fucking crazy. It was so good, dude. It was so good.
Yeah, it was super weird.
I can't wait for it to come out because this, unlike Hereditary, where I've told you guys both this, like that I don't ever have to watch that movie again because I remember everything about it. This I will definitely watch again because I feel like there's so much small stuff
that you missed.
that you miss when you're just like trying to take in everything.
Yeah, definitely. There were I think there were a lot of things that I missed in the small details. Like, do you remember somebody saying something about someone being the jester, and then at the end, like, one of the guys had a jester hat on?
So
yeah, that was Mark's head.
That's right.
Was wearing the jester hat.
There was like one point where they were like doing that running thing where they were like holding hands and running and dancing.
That's right.
And Mark asked Pell, like, "Oh, what are they doing?" And he's like, "Oh, it's the dance of the jester or whatever."
That's right. Yeah. So I think each of them got like a designation like that.
Oh no!
Each of the sacrifices.
They said the skin of the jester, which makes more sense because they flayed his skin off.
Oh,
remember that?
shit.
Remember that? It was that fake summer festival concert
poster for the promotion. Yeah.
Skin the Jester is one of the names on it.
Oh shit. Okay.
I'll have to find that.
I think it's Skin the Jester.
We'll have to share it.
It's something
we'll
like
have to
that.
share that on Instagram.
Yeah. Skin the fool.
Skin the Fool.
Fool.
That was the
it.
name. It was Skin the Fool.
The Fool. That was the word that they used in the movie. That was my mistake.
Which is great.
But like I said, I think each of the sacrifices had like a name. Like,
yeah. Like they all served a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's only 9 sacrifices to be made.
And they filled a role.
Is that as many suits as the Major Arcana? In the like
in what?
tarot card thing?
Oh, I don't know.
It might be. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure the Fool is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
dude, that's wild.
Maybe it has some light connection to that.
Skin the Fool.
Oh,
fuck!
I loved this movie. I'll definitely be buying it on Blu-ray.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic, but it wasn't a horror movie.
No, it was just horrific.
Yeah.
And horrible things happen, but it was not a horror.
No. Yeah, it was definitely like a fairy tale breakup movie.
Yep.
So. And I think that, dude, the upside down camera movement thing totally lent itself to a fairy tale thing too.
Yes, definitely.
And I'm sure if you sat down and rewatched this, you can probably attach some Alice in Wonderland qualities to it.
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely, especially with all of the, the LSD and shit,
Yeah.
Like all the drugs. That was another thing that I had said after I'd seen it. I was talking to Jen, and I was like, they seem to have replaced all of the demonic elements
with
from
drugs.
Hereditary with drugs. Yeah.
No demons here, just drugs.
Yeah.
Exactly. There was no malevolent, force.
No.
Yeah. No, there were no demons here. Exercise your own demons with these drugs.
Oh, that's great. Any final thoughts?
To people who haven't seen it, go see it.
Definitely.
Don't wait.
No. It's an experience that you need to see. Definitely in the theater too, because that'll probably be like the best way to view it.
Yeah, it's definitely. It probably does not hit as well if you're not in a crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting that communal reaction to shit is probably the best possible thing you could do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll help you like completely invest yourself in the characters and in the movie.
Yeah, drink this.
I absolutely loved it.
Hell yeah.
I can't wait to watch it again and hopefully break more stuff down. And I'm very excited to see Ari Aster's next project.
Oh, for sure.
He replaces the demons and the drugs with music.
Holy shit.
Could you imagine if he directs Disney's next live action adaptation?
Ari Aster's Mulan.
Oh, man.
Oh, God. All right. Well, For Pop Kannon, this has been episode 20. I'm Jordan.
I'm Robert.
And I'm Paul.
Thanks for listening.
See you, bye.
You guys want to get strapped into this actual bear with me?
Yeah, we're just gonna we'll BRB.
Light it up.
Be right bear. Man, we are 20 episodes deep. Amazing. So, how did you guys like MidSommar? How did it stack up against Ari Aster's other film, Hereditary? If you didn't really like MidSommar, did we do a good enough job highlighting what we did like in order to change your opinion about it slightly? How about Florence Pugh's performance, though? We want to hear your answers to all these questions and more, and getting in contact with us has never been easier. You can subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform as well as YouTube. And if you want to follow us, we're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Just search Pop Kannon with a K for potassium. And if one of us said something you hated and you want to directly lash out in anger at us, I, Robert, can be found on Twitter and Instagram at Yesball. Jordan is on Twitter and Instagram at JL24FPS. And Paul has an Instagram that he doesn't use at My Dinner with Julius LaRosa. Also, just take a second to thank Paul. He hasn't recorded with us since our Rogue One review way back during our first run, and he was able to come off the bench and just kill it, in my opinion. Awesome stuff. Well, that's all for now. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on our next episodes covering San Diego Comic-Con 2019, Stranger Things Season 3, D23, and much, much more.